Death to cute puppies.
Oh God, what have I missed already?
We're just getting started and it's already great.
That's amazing. Do we still got Chalupa Batman today?
Unfortunately, no. I was Chalupa Batman yesterday. Today, I'm Meat Sack.
All right.
All right, need to get a feeling for this game.
I forgot how to fly. Give me a minute.
I usually fly with joysticks, but I can't rebind the keys, so that's out of the option.
Are you using a keyboard?
No, I want to use double joysticks, but I
okay.
need to rebind controls for that. So I'm pretty much because I have a custom control layout, and yeah.
Yeah, the game is not currently, but will be eventually, completely customizable in terms of rebinding your controls to any kind of game controller imaginable.
Sure.
Including eventually VR. We actually had implemented controls for the Mayo device, which is like a armband that senses all of your arm and hand gestures.
Really?
So people were actually able to fly. You know how, like, when you're a kid, or, you know, when you're 33, like I am, you stick your hand out the window and fly your hand like an airplane, sticking your fingers out?
Right,
yes.
You could actually fly that way. You could fire missiles by making a fist, or making a gun, you know, symbol with your hand would fire your guns and things like
Wasn't there a invention called the Hydra, which were gloves?
Oh, possibly.
The Razor had the Hydra, didn't they?
Yeah,
and it was two. It was like two Wii nunchucks that were strapped together.
I believe a later model was with infrared signals and the camera, and it tracked your hand, if I recall correctly.
That is true.
That was a freaking awesome build. My perfect setup would be a VR headset, having the Omni so you could walk, and the Hydras for your hand motions. That would be, oh my god, my life would be over.
Right?
I have to agree. That would be amazing.
You know, having a flight chair for space sims like Star Citizen or this game, and if you have to move like a person, just step into the Omni and you're good to go.
That'd be the coolest thing ever. My gosh.
Lewis, I see no lobbies to join.
I probably die.
Oh, Lewis probably doesn't have the latest build.
Oh, that would do it. Yeah. Did you guys end up fixing the stupid side issue yesterday?
Yes, we did.
Oh, okay, cool.
So now the scoreboard will be accurate. Yeah, see, in theory, we tested it for a little while yesterday. Yeah, so if you kill yourself, one of our programmers, Tim Grupp, coined the word stupicide, which
so awesome.
is the greatest term ever invented.
Yeah.
And but there used to be a bug where, and I can definitively explain what the bug is now. Every time you were killed by another player, it would add a number of deaths to you that was equal to the number of times you had stupicided in the match plus 1.
That's hilarious.
So if
Like
you
a death multiplier.
Is that?
yeah, it was really bizarre.
That actually kind of makes sense, though. Like, you know, because, you know, you committed suicide, so it's like your own death multiplier.
Yep. Well,
These are all the people that could have killed you and should have killed you had you not been dumb.
Exactly.
Actually, that is a huge deterrent to stupid.
The end of your life, heaven recounting death counter.
Because in games, you can actually exploit it by slamming into killing yourself so that you deny the other person kills.
Right.
That happened both early on in our game, plus like they even in Star Citizen, what's he called?
It was fire rockets and self-destruct.
Yeah.
Oh, Carnae Assada, you are tearing it up currently.
Yeah.
I'm loving
And
it.
I'm
So
sucking.
much lag.
Let's see.
I was playing a lot of Rainbow Six Siege today, and I was so annoyed that I got into a good game with a lot of people who were good on the voice chat, calling out stuff, and then it disconnected.
Oh, that's the worst.
I hate when that happens.
And you
Does
can't
everybody
find the
have
people.
lag or only you? Because I'm streaming right now, so my connection could be overloaded.
I had lag when I actually had your stream running in the browser. So when I closed it
Alright.
out, I was better.
Alright.
So it could be like the fact that you're streaming is affecting it.
Yeah, because I'm pushing over 3K bits over the net.
Yeah,
That's for
Are
a
you
full
from-
HD
you're from-
stream, that's quite a lot.
You're from Germany or?
Yeah, I'm from Germany.
Because the it's European lag. The server is in America.
Ah.
That explains a bit.
Yeah.
So it's got to go far.
Yeah, right. But if you guys want to host it, that's no problem. I can prepare my questions therefore.
Oh no, that's it. It doesn't actually affect the game in terms of
Alright.
hosting, because when you're the host, you're not actually hosting it off of your machine. It just means that you're the guy who picks all of the sort of the options, and you're the first person to enter
but your
the
central
match.
server is yours, alright.
Correct. All of the central server is in East Coast, U.S.
Alright.
We will. The final game will be able to be hosted either on the East Coast, U.S., Europe. There is a European server that we can host from. There's also one in Singapore, one in Japan, and one in China.
Oh. China.
So, you know, if you're ever traveling abroad and you have to get your Sector 13 fix.
Did you see the Trump video where he says China for about 5 minutes?
No.
China. China.
God.
So funny.
He has a certain accent when he says it. Like it's not even like a regular American pronunciation.
Some kind of, I don't know, Jersey accent or New York accent. China.
Well,
China.
Trump is his own faction, so yeah.
It's actually a douchebag accent as well.
Well, I leave it at that. I'm usually the one who's really edgy.
So controls a bit. There are the speed settings. It's not a hold the button in to go faster. It is you actually flip or switch between 3 different settings.
Stages
slow,
of
medium.
speed.
Yeah, slow, medium, and fast.
And the slower
So
you're
you
going, the more maneuverable you are, so you can use your speed to your advantage that way. And then you have a boost. If you're using the keyboard, it's tab, and if you are using a gamepad, it would be the right thumbstick pressed like a button. It will cause you to boost. Now the way the boost works is, as soon as you activate it, your ship will come to a complete dead stop for 1 second while the booster sort of warms up. And during that 1 second, you get 300% maneuverability, so you can sort of spin around in any direction you need to be facing. It's a
Yeah,
good way
that
to
would be a-
get out of a joust.
That wouldn't be a problem if the environment was my enemy.
Right. And it is. I just stupicided against a rock. One of our space potatoes.
I found a very special space potato.
There is one. There's a space potato that looks like it's made out of human tooth.
I call
Okay.
it the rhinosteroid.
Oh god damn it!
Because it's also known as the untextured one.
Yes.
There is also a targeting bug where it's supposed to automatically target somebody, but if that person dies, it doesn't always target switch to the next target. So you'll have to press the it's the X button on the Xbox controller. What is it on the keyboard?
Either T or R. I can never remember.
Yeah, I thought
So
it was
you-
T or R.
You have to
I'm playing
retarget.
on the PlayStation controller, so that makes me special, right?
Yeah, on the
very.
PlayStation controller it would be
Square? Maybe?
yeah, the square button. Wherever the X button is on the X.
Yeah, it's square.
Oh my god.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
How now, Jon Snow?
How the hell do I have 7 kills?
I don't know. I have nothing. It's pathetic.
That's grumpy.
I'm currently getting 4 deaths per death, I think.
Or
I guess
death.
the-
Oh,
I
do you
think
have?
there's still
Do you have the latest build?
I think so. I mean, I did the latest one you posted in Slack. Was the one in Skype newer?
The one in Skype is the same as the one in Slack. So
Okay.
you used the one from well, shoot, sucks. Yeah, you've got 53 deaths.
Yeah.
53 deaths.
That's
Holy
way
hell.
too many. But everybody else has got a reasonable
Yeah,
number.
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Everyone else-
32 is a reasonable number.
Die!
Except Grumpy, everyone else is reasonable. So yeah, I guess maybe I had some kind of wrong build.
You've died an unreasonable amount of time.
Wait, how am I? I don't have 32 deaths either. Well, maybe I do.
I just knew because I checked between deaths and it kept shooting up by 4. But yeah, maybe I have some kind of wrong build or something.
Yeah, Jay,
So-
you were saying that like Dropbox sometimes insists that the file is not new or something.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's so sad that I can't shoot people through asteroids anymore. Actually, I have to fly around it.
Bend the law of physics.
Right.
Get a hard point that gets you that ability. Like
A new-
total no.
A new
Which
tree.
one?
Eraser. It was it the game called Eraser? That was the one that had that. Oh man, I should have recorded that.
In the original Half-Life, there was the Tau cannon, which could shoot through walls.
Oh,
Will there be any kind of like kill streak power-ups? Like you get some kind of nuke that wipes out like half the map or something?
It's
In
not
what?
Call
In
of Duty.
No, I mean like for in this game, are we doing any like kill streak?
Oh yeah. We are
Yes.
actually recording kill streaks, or not kill streaks. We will record kill streaks. We are. We're currently tracking revenge targets. So if somebody kills you 3 times before you kill them once, they become a revenge target, and you get extra points for killing them back. We haven't implemented that system yet, but yes, we will also do kill streaks where, and maybe kill
Bonus.
streaks will unlock certain hard points that you can mount on your ship when you respawn.
Yeah,
like,
right.
things like that.
This reminds me of like what you have in like Call of Duty or something, where you get like the helicopter and whatever.
Yeah, totally.
So I've got a small issue. My screen is very red, and
Yeah,
my
I'm getting that
targeting
too.
reticle
Is
is
stuck on
broken.
the bottom. Yep.
My screen is permanently on the like almost dead red.
Really,
Not sure why.
That's the
We're gonna-
first.
that is a first.
Yeah.
I would. Can you? Are you still able to play?
I'm flying, but I can't shoot anybody because I can't lock on.
Is that the new blood in the pilot's eyes mechanic that we implemented?
Yay, strawberry jam.
Well, this happened after I respawned too, so
Yeah, the red go won't show up, right?
Try.
Try
See what happens if you die. Yeah.
I've died a few times, it stays.
Oh, and it's still there.
Yeah.
You might have to drop out of the game and.
but I'm leading. I can't drop out.
Oh, you are leading. Holy cow, you're leading by a lot.
Yeah, I gotta take
Well,
my.
this
my
is your
spot back.
ultimate test. You gotta shoot with no reticle.
It's okay, I have missiles.
It's the handicap we implemented for people who are. Yeah, that's a new one. We haven't heard of that one before. I wonder if that's a new bug.
That's like.
All right, I'm
Oh,
gonna
geez.
try and get a kill without the auto targeting.
I somehow got killed with everybody broken. This is challenge mode. Wow, I don't even have a reticule anymore. This is awesome.
Try hitting down on the D-pad. See what that does.
I thought it was cool though. You can really see like the machine gun hitting your enemy without the reticle.
Toggling the HUD doesn't do anything.
No. Oh, jeez.
That's a.
I had done some
Boom.
adjusting on the Magnari ship's gun impact effects. So the Falcon and the Raven, their gun impact effects are a lot more obvious than any of the other ships. So it actually looks pretty cool when you shoot at people with those ships.
I left the game and came back, and it's better now for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the same.
That's really weird. I kind of hope it happens to me so I can see what you guys are talking about.
Well, you're the programmer, so obviously it will not happen to you.
Right?
No. Everything works perfect for you.
Oh my god, somebody
damn it.
exploded into like a capital ship's worth of parts.
Oh, that bug's back too.
Oh yeah. That bug is still there.
I think I froze.
Yeah, I froze a bit too. I actually had to quit.
I wondered why my game was lagging, and then I saw the exploded bits. I'm like, okay.
There's a
'Cause-
bajillion gibbs.
That was almost like 10. I think that bug might be multiplying because it was more than before.
Oh.
I've never lagged when we explode into like 3 trillion bits. But this time I did.
When you blow up with enough parts to build the Death Star, you know?
What are those little things that
First or
multiply in
second
Star
one?
Trek? There's that little
Tribbles.
creature, right?
The tribbles.
Tribbles? Yeah, so our spaceships are actually built out of tribbles. And that's why when they explode, they kind of explode and multiply. That's
Wow.
our motto.
I'll take it.
Mark.
Oh.
And as
So,
that,
yeah, it's cool. I saw the little explosions when I get hit by gunfire.
No! Have you guys heard of the game Air Brawl?
No.
I feel like I've heard
Barely.
of it, but I don't. I'm not super familiar with it.
It's a
Is
game that came out recently that's it's basically all about dogfighting, except the planes are kind of goofy and the attacks that the planes have are kind of goofy.
Is it free to play?
No, I think it was $15.
Oh, okay.
But the big difference between this game and that game so far is that game allows you to use the mouse, which means your turning speed is infinite,
Oh,
which
okay.
can be a little jarring.
Yeah.
And also, I remember hearing you talk about. I think I watched a little bit of Carnae Assada's thing yesterday,
Yeah.
and you were talking about how a lot of airplane games just evolve into circling each other forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That game kind of ended up like that. This game, it's just you die quickly, you kill quickly, and you're back in quickly.
Yeah. The that definitely helps the jousting issue. The other thing, I think the major thing that helps the
Ooh.
jousting issue in Sector 13 is generally you have a lot of people playing. So it's not often that 2 people are targeting each other, which is what causes a joust in the first place.
Right.
And but in spite of that, we have the boost mechanic, which helps get you out of that jousting situation because you can whip around really fast and boost away and sort of get out of that situation. We also have a ton of cover, so flying through an asteroid or flying through a space station forces people to get out of those jousts as well.
and a lot of thought is put into the cover so that you can actually fly inside it and close to it. It's not just eye candy,
Right.
like a cinematic shot. It's actually useful to fly in, which makes you more survivable when you are flying close to the cover versus in deep space. So, but automatically you want to fly where we have put our structures rather than go into deep space because you die much easier there.
Nowhere to hide, nowhere to run.
Yeah. We still have also got to implement that you can lose tracking of a target behind cover. That doesn't work just yet. We did have mines working as one of the things to stop these turning battles where 2 ships just fly around in a turn.
Those were lots of fun because you could just sort of poop them out the back of your ship, and if you ran into them, it was an instant death.
It's actually a theory that's what you do is you create temporary terrain with some weapons. Mines are one of those things where you're actually creating terrain with them that then disappears. So that's part of the mechanic. It's almost part of the terrain mechanic. I mean, not yeah.
Oh, don't go into the options menu while you're choosing a ship.
Oh.
It's not working.
Does that sort of jack things up?
Yeah, I can't choose a ship now, and I gotta restart again.
Oh, what the hell? I'm gonna go do that right now, actually. See what that looks like.
Oh my god. Oh, Ryan's taking. Ryan, don't crash into the ore processor.
I'm doing my best
Because-
here.
Oh, so now you follow my orders, but the other one you don't?
Oh, I froze again.
Oh, I see. You can't get to the back button in the options menu here.
Well, I was able to get
Oh.
out of the options menu, but then it just doesn't do
It-
anything else.
It doesn't bring the ship launch menu back. That's great.
Oh. So, it's hard to see where you're flying when bullets are bouncing off your armor. It's like,
You should get assist points.
All right.
I slam into things because the screen is red and flashing and... Oh, crap, again!
Well, that's good. And I seem to have crashed the game by rejoining. Looks like you have to back all the way out of the application. Man, that sucks. You spent a lot of time making restartability a thing. All right, let's see.
Mark,
Make sure to test different ships as well. So, try something you haven't tried before. We have
Well,
5
I'm
factions.
dying the most, so I could test the most ships.
Go there. We have 10 ships, 12 ships total. There are 2 per faction, 2 ships per faction, and then the bottom 2 are mercenaries. They're copies on
ship.
each list. They're mercenary ships.
Oh, I just had a head-on collision with Carnae Assada.
Oh, was
You
it
did?
delicious?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it.
God,
I didn't die from
sounds
it
like
somehow.
a good time to me.
Neither did I. Everybody
Ow.
wants to
Bounced off
collide head
somebody
on
Good
else.
with me.
season.
So it was the Magnari that you had changed the.
Oh, sick.
You could see when you were lighting the other person up.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the impact effects really well with the Magnari ships.
Alright.
I'm going to do the same for... Well, I want somebody, an artist, to make impact effects for everybody else. Oh, hey, Evan. Just noticed
Hey.
you're doing the fray.
Yeah, I had to download the new build.
Oh, cool, cool. Evan is our other composer.
Alright.
2 composers, nice.
2 composers make for the best music ever.
So Ryan, who's your favorite composer?
John Williams.
Good answer.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah,
Favorite.
the theater I saw the new Star Wars
Did you
was
just-
so loud.
Oh, yeah?
It was like, I saw it here
Please
in
don't
LA and
spoil
like,
anything.
it's
I might
super
go to
loud.
kill you.
No Star Wars spoilers, we promise. Yeah.
Everybody dies in the end.
Like my father, I will burn. How about we get the interview started in the next 5 minutes about?
Yeah, sure, whenever you'd like.
Alright. Well, I'm recording all of it, so yeah, I can just cut it out, but I want to keep the interview as compact as possible, so I don't have to make many cuts, because that doesn't look very good.
Sure, of course.
So, yeah. Okay, I would say let's start the interview. Introductions time, Reactor Interactive. Would you introduce yourselves?
Okay, I'm Ryan Burr. I'm one of the founding members of Reactor Interactive, along with Drew Clark, and I'm a programmer on the project. I also do some graphic design and wear several other hats, but mostly I write code.
Okay, the next one.
My name's Jay, aka Grumpy Sam. I'm the writer on this project. I also have a few other hats where I help with arena design, prototyping, narration, I guess.
Okay.
His narration is phenomenal.
There is lore. I will ask later a question about that.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Lots of lore. So, next in line.
Well, I'll go. Evan Arnett, audio. I wrote some music, did some sound design, dialogue, editing, stuff like that.
Luis Cabrera, art and graphics.
Sean Billy, artist. I also help out, with like Drew and his modeling and all that stuff. So yeah.
Matana Lawrenson, other composer. Made music for along with Evan for the arenas and themes for the factions.
Sweet. Is that everybody?
I think that's it.
I think that's everybody who's on the
Press.
call. We have a few other people
Yeah.
on the team, including Drew, who's the lead artist and sort of project manager, and he wasn't able to be here today. Unfortunately, he had some family things going on.
That's fine.
But yeah.
Okay, why don't you tell about this game we're playing right now?
So this is Sector 13, and it's a multiplayer space combat game. And it's been in development for about 3.5 years, a little more than 3.5 years, this version of it. But Drew and I actually built a prototype of this back between 2001 and 2005. And won some awards with it, and it ended up getting us jobs in the industry, which necessitated us having to sort of shelve it while we were working on other projects. But we were able to pick it back up again in March of 2012 and have been working on it in our spare time ever since. We all hold day jobs, and only really have time to work on this on the weekends and at nights. So this is the result of about 3.5 years of spare time work.
Okay.
I just recently left my job and sold my house and moved into a little apartment so that I could do this full time. So I'm going all in on this, and right now our schedule has us finishing the game in roughly a year. We hope to release a version 1.0 of the game in early 2017, and we just launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund it, as
Yes.
well as we just finished up a successful Greenlight campaign. We are now greenlit for Steam.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah. So things are
So-
going well.
Okay, so how big is the dev team at all right now? I saw 15 people on your homepage.
Yeah, I would say we probably have 7 or 8 people who are pretty regular, are able to contribute pretty regularly. But all of the people that we have listed on the website are people who have contributed to the game in one way or another and still have their work featured in the game. So that would be our official credits list, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Even though a number of them, have had to move on, or just haven't been able to contribute as steadily due to whatever life events and having to hold down day jobs and whatnot. So it's been entirely volunteer work so far.
So you would say this development team consists of mixed full-time and part-time development.
Yeah, I'm the only one who's. Well, I guess Sean, you're more or less full time as well.
Yeah.
But between the rest of everybody else have day jobs. They actually make money doing things, and
I would say unpaid full time.
yeah,
Are living the life.
yes, indeed.
All right. We talked about development time already, so I want to ask you about Kickstarter, if I may.
Sure.
Your financing goal is $35,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of that is to pay myself and Sean for a year so that we can survive.
Okay.
A lot of that is going towards our fantastic music, and then a large portion of it actually goes back to Kickstarter. We have money earmarked for legal and accounting fees, and some of it is earmarked for reward fulfillment. Most of our rewards you'll see on the Kickstarter are digital, and we've done that to keep our fulfillment costs way down. We want to make sure that every penny of that, or as many pennies of that money as can be reasonably expected, spent on the development of the game itself. We didn't want to spend an inordinate amount of money having to, say, make, physical art
Items,
books.
ship, and stuff.
Exactly. People don't. I don't want people to invest their money in shipping costs so that we can mail everybody a T-shirt. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, international shipping costs are insane.
exactly. So, it's actually a very tight budget for the ambition that this game is. I mean, you can see this is somewhere between a typical indie title and a AAA title. This isn't a pixel art platformer or a card game or something like that. It's pretty involved, and we're trying to make it at the highest quality possible. So.
Yeah, I think all the other games that came out, like Descent and Everspace and...
Oh, I tested Descent. Oh, I tested it. It's a mess.
They have more. They asked for more. I don't know, Descent, did that get 400,000?
I don't know the amount. I tested Descent Underground about a month ago.
Is it awesome?
It on my channel. It's not good.
Oh, really?
Really not good.
Okay. Really sorry to hear that, because I loved the Descent series.
I do. I played in my school times everything. There was a big problem with mouse acceleration. Basically, if you move the mouse about 1 centimeter per second, your aiming would just stop.
Interesting.
I'm sure they'll fix that though.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty early in development.
Funnily enough, 1 week later, after I raged about it hard, a patch went out. There was a patch proclaiming they fixed it.
Oh,
I haven't tested it yet, but at the time I recorded it, it was really bad. Really bad.
I have it. I don't have it on. I didn't kickstart it, but I bought it later on early access. So
the flight model in games like this is so important. It is one of the most important aspects of a game like this. Just the movement by itself, even before you fire the guns or fire any missiles, has to be perfect. And that's the one thing that we spent probably the most amount of time and effort trying to get right. It's still not perfect in Sector 13, but I feel like it's a pretty fun... Like, we've had tons of players who, even though this is a multiplayer game and you really can't do anything unless you have other players in the match, we've had other people tell us how much fun they have just getting in there single player and just flying around the map. And I think that that tells us that we've done something right with our flight model, and I'm pretty proud of that.
What differentiates? Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, the way, like you said, like the movement and the way the ship kind of drags behind your movements makes it feel very realistic.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that one.
As opposed to, like, kind of staying right behind the engine and the screen tilting around you, like the ship moves as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of the flight models that I see on Steam, because I try and buy as many of them as possible to test them. It looks like you have stuck like a beetle or something. You've pinned a beetle to the middle of the screen and you're rotating that thing around.
Right.
And it doesn't give the same sense of speed, and it's much harder to fly through things. I think ours...
Yeah, but that comes down to what kind of genre your game is. Descent is a 6 Degree of Freedom game. This isn't.
It's true.
You don't have lateral I'm missing the word for it.
You don't have strafing.
Yeah, strafing, right. So this game, Sector 13, doesn't quite fit in this genre.
Yeah, this is more of a... I guess it's closer to a flight sim when it comes to actual... the actual flight model is a lot more like a flight sim. It's even though we bill sort of the gameplay and the spirit of this game as being more typical of a twitchy, action first-person shooter.
It's more straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't want this to be a game where you have to read a miles-thick manual to learn how to fly. You don't need a pilot's license like you do in, say, Elite Dangerous. Which is a phenomenal game, by the way. I love that game a lot. But it's for a certain type of player. And Sector 13 is meant to be a much more accessible, much more intuitive, and
it's much simpler. It's much simpler.
Exactly.
It's much simpler to fly, so you can spend time on the combat.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
but also that's the game's focus.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In-
There's no mining asteroids in this game. There's no
Right,
resource
Elite
management.
is a simulation game.
Right.
It's not arcadey. It's simulation. Ah, goddamn you. Okay, my next question is, what will the post-monetization look like for this game once it's finished? What will the price be? Will there be DLC? Will it have microtransactions?
Drew and I philosophically disagree with the whole idea of microtransactions.
Good.
We absolutely hate that business model. It's predatory. It'll make you very, very rich if you do it right. But we don't care. We don't like that. We want you to buy the game once and own it forever, be able to do everything that the game offers without you having to continually pay $1 here, $1 there. So this game will likely retail, and now don't quote me on this because we haven't.
Yeah,
actually,
sure.
we haven't nailed down the
nothing set in stone.
Sure, but we're thinking, this is not going to be a $60 game. We're not, even though we have a single player campaign mode designed for this game, we're not guaranteed that we're going to have the money to be able to implement it. So the only thing that we can guarantee is this arena-based multiplayer mode, and so therefore, the game will probably retail for somewhere between $15 and $20. It's going to probably be in that range.
I like that because that's the global offensive kind of standard you get. It's multiplayer only. It has a few game modes, and that's the perfect price in my opinion.
Yeah, we're not
Hint,
asking people
it's
to.
cheaper if you kickstart it.
Yes. It helps us at least develop the game if you kickstart. The game will actually get made if we get Kickstarter.
If you kickstart it,
right.
you get it for a little bit cheaper than if you wait until it's
Yeah, that's true.
fully released.
The game can be had for $10 currently. We haven't run out of the early bird tier yet. But even if you don't get into the early bird, the game, you can still get a copy of the game for $13.
Right.
But as far as DLC goes, this game does lend itself very well to DLC because of the number of starfighters in the game. It would be relatively inexpensive for us to be able to add more content in the form of new fighters, new arenas, new weapons. Our whole hardpoint system where you can kit out your ship with different passive and active hardpoints lends itself very well to all kinds of new experiences there. So that's the sort of thing that we would think about for DLC, and I'm thinking our DLC probably wouldn't cost you any more than $5 for say 5 new starfighters or something like that.
Right. Are you planning to DLC game modes or map packs?
We have in the very base game, we have 4 game modes. They're actually pretty basic. And yes, DLC could definitely open up. In fact, when it comes to game modes, I would be more likely to say, look, we're going to release the game modes for free. Those will just be a free patch, and just to add on to the game, once we've had the time and money to implement them. Whereas more content that just gives you more variety, would be something that you'd pay for in DLC. Now, it's also worth noting that with all this DLC, that this will never be a pay-to-win game. You will never be able to purchase DLC that will give you a decided advantage over someone who doesn't have that DLC.
Okay.
Every ship in the game has its advantages, has its disadvantages. So every ship and every weapon, is sort of balanced against every other one. It's sort of the rock, paper, scissors model of, there isn't one attack, there isn't one weapon, there isn't one starfighter that's better than another. They're all just sort of different from each other, and you have more variety, and you can sort of have advantages in certain situations and disadvantages in others that sort of balance them all out.
One of the things with DLC, well, first it's hard to say what will be DLC when we're still trying to get funding
Sure,
for the main game. But I'm a strong believer in not splitting up the multiplayer community.
Right, that was
So-
I was afraid of.
I've had you spend $60 or €60 on a fully fledged multiplayer game, and then they release DLC pack that chops that multiplayer community in half a few months later.
Style.
And that's not. I'll do my utmost to make sure that does not happen.
Yeah.
I'll
And that's a
scream.
good point about arenas too. I mean, that's a good way to split up your player base. Is
So-
like half the players can't play
Right.
because they don't have that map pack. So maybe map packs will be released for free.
Yeah, like everybody can always get into the arena. You will always be able to play with your friends, even if you bought the DLC and they didn't.
All right.
But we'll have to see. Yeah, right now we're just struggling to try and get the base game ready
Sure.
or
But
funded. And
a
then,
lot of people ask for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you want to know where are our morals on the issue.
Right.
Um,
Right. That's
and-
the reasoning.
we don't believe in like splitting up the community. That'll be like the death of a lot of games unless
Every
you're
multiplayer
Counter-Strike.
game, split your community, and probably half of them will leave.
Yeah, unless you're Counter-Strike that has like 10,000 people always online or something like that. But
Mhm.
but for the majority of games, they don't pull in those numbers. So you have to be very you have to care about your community. Yeah, but we'll see how DLC will work. If we can do it for ships, for example, that aren't going to be overbalanced or
Right. You guys
Skins.
mentioned you're having greenlit, so that means you're using the DRM Steam. What will that mean for the game?
Well, Steam players, there will be DRM on the Steam version, but we are planning on allowing people to buy the game straight through our website or through another third-party portal that will have zero DLC, or I'm sorry, that will have zero DRM whatsoever. We are not putting in. Well, the only sort of level of DRM that there will be is that you will have to be able to log into the game. You'll notice that in our Kickstarter, a lot of our rewards are based around unique items that players have access to, like skins for the starfighters, or even a unique call sign that only they can use.
Okay.
And when you have stuff like that, you have to be able to authenticate somebody as the right person
Sure.
in order to unlock that ability for them. So no matter where you get the game, you'll have to log into the game. You guys logged in with guest and guest, right? So everybody will have their own sort of username and password at the very least to be able to log into the game, which will track your stats and track what things you've unlocked and things like that. But other than that, there won't be any DRM. You won't have to put in a CD key or anything like that. You won't even have to be online in order to play the game. And if you just want to play offline with a bunch of AI bots by yourself, you'll be able to do that as well.
All right. So now for a pretty hard question. Your Kickstarter is now 14 days online, I guess? 14 days? So there are 16 days to go. Last time I checked, yesterday, there was only 4.5k pledged.
Yeah.
What will happen if the Kickstarter fails?
If the Kickstarter fails, and we're not giving up on it yet, you know, one of the things that we have learned, and even if the Kickstarter doesn't raise enough money, I won't have counted it a failure because we've learned so much about how to go about, begging for money and basically getting your name out there.
Well, I'm doing the
this
same,
endeavor.
so yeah.
So yeah, you guys know how hard it is. I mean, with a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel, you know how hard it is to sort of shout through all the noise there to get your name
Getting
out
exposure.
there, to get some eyeballs on your content. So that's the biggest struggle that we have. You know, we are game developers. We're not marketing people. We're not PR people. So one of the things that we're definitely going to be relaunching the Kickstarter campaign sometime in 2016 if this one doesn't raise enough money. It'll be for the same amount, most likely. But we're going to see if we can make some partnerships with some PR companies that will help us actually get our name out there and get more eyeballs on the project. So our experience thus far has been that the vast majority of people who have seen the game have really liked it and are really rooting for its success. And so I really think it's just a numbers game. It's just, we need to get enough eyeballs on it, get enough people to know about it, in order to be successful with any crowdfunding campaign that we would do.
Okay, all right. Next question on my list is partially answered, but I will ask it anyway. This game is predominantly multiplayer only, but there will be single player. How will it look? You said you planned a campaign?
Yeah, we actually have an entire single player campaign that could be built into this sort of structure of the game. And what's really unique about it is that, in a typical single-player campaign, even if it's non-linear, where it's got branching paths and stuff, it's usually only played from one side of the battle. And our lore is such, you've got these 5 different factions. None of them is really obviously the bad guy. None of them is really obviously the good guy. It's sort of like the factions in the Fallout series. Everybody's got their good points and bad points, and it's up to the player to sort of choose which one they want to support. If they want to support all of them, they can do that too. But what's unique about that fact in our lore is that our single-player campaign will not only be able to be played single-player, it'll also be able to be played from any side of the battle. So let's say, for instance, you would have a mission where you have to protect your VIP because he's having a meeting with another VIP from another faction. You have to sort of protect that meeting. And then there's a third faction that comes in and tries to either kill or kidnap the VIP. You'll be able to play that battle from any side. So, if you play it from one faction, you would be the guy trying to fly in and kill the guy. From another faction, you might be trying to abduct him. And from another faction, you might be trying to protect him from all of that. So you'll be able to play the single-player campaign.
Freedom of choice, basically.
Yeah, from multiple points of view. So there's maximum replayability there. But also, all of those campaigns will be multiplayer as well. So you'll be able to play the single-player campaign cooperatively with a friend, for instance, or even, against him. Maybe he's trying to play the single-player campaign from one faction.
I like that.
That sounds awesome.
And you're playing it from the other side. So that's our big plan for the single-player campaign. But that campaign is going to require a lot of voiceover work. It's going to require a lot of scripting. It's going to require a lot more money than we have budgeted for the main game, which is just an arena-based shooter, multiplayer shooter. And we have a number of game modes, even beyond the 4 that we're sort of guaranteeing, that will be really interesting and really unique to this type of game. One of them is a capital ship assault mode, where you'll have your giant kilometers-long capital ship. You can actually see a few of those in this arena. And they'll be firing their giant turrets and stuff, but they'll be fully destructible. So, depending on the fighter that you are flying, you'll be able to carry heavy weaponry that will be able to take down an entire capital ship. If you're flying other types of fighters, they'll be more suited towards picking the shield generators and the turrets off of these ships so that the bombers can come in and blow the crap out of them. And in a multiplayer mode, that opens up all kinds of opportunities for capital ship assault, capital ship tug of war, where you're trying to protect your own capital ship as well as take down the other guy's capital ship. So we have a lot of plans for the multiplayer only arena style game if we're never able to make the single player game.
There will also be basic AI in the multiplayer version. So it can be single player in that sense, where you can
bot styled.
but depending on how much money we get on Kickstarter or afterwards, like during development, will depend on will show how far we can go with anything other than multiplayer. So it's kind of hard to tell right now.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about the multiplayer structure, server structure. Will there be dedicated servers? Will you be using Steam servers? Can the player host their own servers?
That's one of the areas that we haven't completely nailed down yet. We will be using a Steam matchmaking service through Steamworks for the Steam players. Currently, the game is the networking engine that we're using is called Photon. We're using the Unity engine as our main graphics engine, and we're using Photon as the networking engine. And the way Photon works is you basically you can do a number of things. You can rent servers from them, which is what we're currently doing for development. And they have servers all over the world to sort of be able to do the matchmaking and actually run all of the networking transport between all the different clients. They also have a standalone server application that you can run, and I would like to implement that, but that's going to require a certain amount of expense. So if we do get enough funding, we will have a dedicated server model where you can run your own, you can host your own LAN games, host your own multiplayer servers. At a very minimum, though, we'll have multiplayer servers that will just sort of spin up anytime someone wants to play.
All right. Will there be LAN support?
Again, that depends on whether we can do a dedicated server. The LAN is a local implementation of a dedicated server, basically. Not a dedicated server, but a locally hosted server. So if we do sort of a dedicated server / locally hosted server solution, LAN play will come with that. If we're not able to do that, then LAN play won't be an option, unfortunately.
Okay.
But our goal is to be able to build, a full LAN solution as well as locally hosted and player hosted servers.
A topic near and dear to my heart is modding. Will there be modding in this game, and how will it be handled? If so, yes.
We don't actually have plans for extensive modding support. That's a huge endeavor unto itself, and fundamentally alters the way the game is built. But we would like players to be able to, if they want to, say, at the very least, tweak values of their ships, tweak values of the build their own arenas, set up their own sort of using the assets that are built into the game, be able to make their own arenas, be able to make their own starfighter statistics, their own weapons, and things like that. So we haven't determined yet what form that modding will take, but it is something that's on our radar, and it's something we definitely want to do. As far as multiplayer modding, to be able to cooperatively build an arena, we don't really have plans for that. That's a huge undertaking, and we really want to focus on a really fun core game. So it's something that we would love to be able to do, but again, it's going to cost money. So it all comes down to how successful the game is, both in crowdfunding and in sales. So.
Right, because I'm asking, the game Wolfenstein Enemy Territory is the perfect multiplayer modding solution there is, in my opinion, because if there is a mod on the server, the client has to take the mod and nothing else. So you could basically make a central modded server and everybody has to play that. That kept Wolfenstein alive for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I actually got my start modding games like the original Half-Life and Half-Life 2, and so yeah, modding is definitely something that I would love to be able to give players, because it adds so much to the game, it adds so much life to the game.
Right.
And it's definitely something that's on our radar. It just we know the realities of what it takes to develop a good modding system that people are going to be happy with, and we don't want to, we don't want to half-ass something and give them something terrible. So,
Right. It all comes down to money.
Right. Exactly.
Well, yeah, enough people have to think that this is a good game for it to be worth buying.
Right.
So
right.
that there is a modding community to even
Right.
to even exist.
But I'm happy to hear that it is an option if this game is successful.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
I'm totally happy to hear that.
I think all of us, I don't know, I came from modding, like Half-Life 2.
Drew is a
Mods and
filthy
stuff like-
console peasant, so he's not really.
But I mean, that's how I found you guys on Game Dev after several Half-Life mods didn't work out for me.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, this project seems fairly.
Well, then you're at the right stream. I'm a PC Master Racer.
Nice. Yes, I would also consider myself a PC Master Racer, but I'm a very eclectic gamer. So if a game only like a really great game only comes out on a console, I'm gonna get it. I actually I don't eschew consoles entirely, but whenever I have the option, I always get the PC version for the modding support usually.
See, that's the thing. Like, I can't afford to upgrade my computer right now, and since I already had the Xbox One, I was like, you know what? I'll get Fallout 4 on the Xbox. Screw it. And then when they announced mods on the console, I was like, oh well, there goes most of my reason for wanting this on the computer in the first place.
Right.
I know I won't get to have the same full-size mods that the PC will, but I never really downloaded texture mods and stuff. They tended to break things, especially when it's anything that has to do with Bethesda.
Right.
Well, you don't want to see my Skyrim. Oh my god.
Do not texture mod a Bethesda game. That's how bad times happen.
I think I spent more time modding Skyrim than playing the campaign.
Yeah, I did.
Which is
Yeah,
yeah.
I have to agree. And starting over new characters after you download new mods for those characters, and then realizing that was a bad decision, and then doing it
Broke
over again.
everything, yeah.
I mean, we were discussing how to get mods in. At least make people build arenas, because there aren't that many space games out there.
No,
and I think
there
there's
aren't.
a huge, at least this kind of combat space game, and there's a huge hunger for somebody just to be able to pull asteroids here and starships there and this structure here and then test it out.
Similar to Halo's builder mode.
Yeah.
The one thing with modding, especially with games that Bethesda makes, they're so easily moddable by the community. One huge reason for that is that they're not multiplayer. When you start adding multiplayer into the mix, it really complicates the hell out of everything that it touches. So,
yeah. But
That's
if we
why
could at least...
I like the Wolfenstein approach.
Right. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I'm really interested in that. I haven't played the Wolfenstein games very much since, of course, the original. But
it still works under Windows 7 Plus, but it could crash anytime. So yeah, it's kind of wonky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think that if we could at least get some kind of arena thing, I think people will really like that.
Yeah, agreed.
To build their own arenas.
One of our
guys, yeah, go.
Oh, I was just going to say one of our stretch goals actually is procedurally generated arenas. But what that really means is that people can sort of dial in a bunch of parameters and generate their own arenas based on their own preferences. So, if you want, like let's take this arena for example, which is mostly these flying potatoes in an asteroid ring around a big orange.
Out potatoes.
Well, you got some ginger in there.
Right, a little bit of some, yeah. So you'll be able to sort of dial up the amount of asteroids that get generated. You'll be able to sort of indicate how dense you want it to be and how difficult you want it to be. If there's any environmental hazards, you'll be able to dial those up or down and sort of basically generate your own arena based on, a procedural algorithm that is repeatable, but is also has an element of randomness to it. So there will be a little bit of arena modding in that sense, sort of in the same way that you can generate your own new sort of Minecraft map.
And if we can get that arena randomizer or arena generator, then technically we could also have it so that you can fly a solo campaign in it or a co-op campaign
Sure.
in this arena. So it would add a kind of randomness. You have to perform a certain task, destroy this, capture that.
One of my favorite games to mod back in the day was the original X-Wing.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it had a DOS arena and campaign editor in DOS with, your cursor was an ASCII character and things like that. And I loved that. I loved that as a kid. It was one of the first games I ever modded. And so whatever tools that we have to build for ourselves to make the single player or multiplayer campaign mode, it's going to be built with the community in mind. Being able to give those tools away for modders to be able to make their own campaign missions and their own arenas.
Yeah. So depending on how far we can reach with it, we can get other stuff done, hopefully fairly simply, by being able to harness different things like co-op, and then if you have a arena randomizer or arena generator, then you put co-op missions with the arena generator, so you don't have to play the same. How many do we have? 12 multiplayer arenas. You can actually have a almost unlimited amount of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for the co-op mode, which might be more fun than playing the same old ones all the time.
Right.
For some people.
All right, that's a good answer. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about actual game stuff. Controls. I noted I don't have mouse support. Since you are releasing on a PC, I really wish you really implement your mouse support extremely well, because controls are everything.
Did you ever play, what was it called? Freelancer?
I can show you the CDs right now.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, so you're familiar with the mouse control in that game. That was a space combat game, a lot like this. It wasn't. I guess they did have a third-person mode, but I always played it in first-person. But oh no, I guess it was fully third-person, wasn't it? I'm trying to remember. It's been so long.
Stop rambling and explain what you're trying to say.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Grumpy. Anyway, it had an excellent mouse control scheme, and I would like to implement it as closely as we can. The way it worked, for those of you who don't know, was the reticule in the center of the screen when you're playing with that you're seeing right now. That actually becomes a mouse cursor, and your guns will always fire directly at it. And so your ship would then sort of chase your reticule around the screen, similar to how it's currently chasing it, but the camera sort of stays fixed on that reticule.
Star Citizen is doing this control right now.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so yeah.
But it was him who found it out, wasn't it? It was. It's the Star Citizen guy who made.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I think
Freelancer.
Yeah, Chris Roberts
did actually make Freelancer. So, so yeah, it's a really good scheme, and I think we're going to shamelessly steal it.
It seems like that would have a big edge over control users. I feel like you have much more ease of aiming.
I thought of that myself, and what the one way that I would like to change it actually is not to give you the entire screen freedom of movement, that the mouse cursor would actually be constrained to a radius of about half the screen width in the center of the screen. So, but we need to make it so that you don't feel like your flight controls are compromised as a result of that. So the ship has to be, very responsive to those movements, so you don't ever feel like you have to move the cursor outside of those bounds.
Best of all would be binded to the physics of the ship itself, so you can't make a 180-degree turn in half a second.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be constrained by the maneuverability characteristics of whatever fighter you're flying. We have to continue to respect that because it's fundamental to the gameplay.
Right.
So yeah, you definitely won't be able to. It's not going to be. You're not going to be able to turn as fast as you can move the mouse. It's still going to be limited by the speed of the maneuverability.
It's just to think about it, because it's an easy mistake to make.
Definitely.
Next, I noted full key rebinding. As for me, I'm playing with 2 joysticks. I don't know if you can see my stream right now, but I can hold my joysticks.
2 joysticks. Wow.
Yeah, right. I'm flying with 2 joysticks, and full key rebindability is essential to me.
Absolutely.
I also need to rebind all the axes to all the possible axes there are in the game.
Yes, absolutely. We're definitely going to be giving that to the PC players. In fact, one of the things that I wanted to do to sort of set us apart for the console players as well, because we do have plans to bring this to Xbox One and PS4.
Right.
I want to have full key rebindability for the consoles, which is not something that you typically see. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to give you a couple of different sort of predefined setups that are common to those controllers, but you'll also be able to go into like an advanced key binding mode where you'll be able to set any axis, any button to any action. So it'll be completely bindable. I think one of the best key binding systems I ever saw in a game was the one for Free Space 2. Which again was let's see, yeah, that was a Descent game, Free Space 2. You could bind anything to anything. I think you could even use the old Nintendo trackpad.
Wow.
To play that game. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm wondering, should we change arena or do we keep going with the interview? Will that screw up the interview?
We can do both. We can do both. That's not a problem at all.
Sure.
We probably, the best thing is to quit out of the game and join it so that we kind of flush the memory. Or
Okay.
whatever it's called.
I will
That
close
technique.
my game entirely. That's probably the best.
It's always good to liken this game to a toilet, especially right now.
Always flush.
It can always flush. Yeah.
Always flush.
Real men don't flush.
Oh god.
Flush after 2 tissues.
Yeah, that is actually a good idea. Is back entirely out to the desktop.
Okay. Before we continue with the questions, let's get this started here. Log in.
Just had to get that last kill, didn't you?
Host multiplayer. What
Yeah,
should we do?
Do Hell's Porch this time.
Hell's Porch. All right.
It's like Hell's Kitchen, but for barbecues.
Exactly. And if you
It's fucking raw.
and if you want to be Satan, you can fly the Hell Folly.
Uh-huh.
It's
Expect to die
overcooked.
many times, though.
So many times.
Hell Folly has no shield, so if you get sneezed on, you're toast. But it's got really powerful guns, pretty maneuverable, pretty fast.
Wait, so how do you use 2 joysticks? Isn't one joystick enough for all the movements?
No, it isn't. Actually, you have to write the controls itself. I'm using Thrustmaster joysticks, and they have their own script language called script, and you have to completely write your controls. I got a video on my channel. Just search for T16000M. It's in German, but muted anyway. And I will show how it's written. So you can check that out.
Ooh.
Excellent.
Okay, let's continue with the questions, okay?
Sounds good.
Next questions I wrote down video. Let's talk about video. Will there be a colorblind mode? I'm not colorblind, but I know some people, and it's massively important to have colorblind mode, in my opinion.
That's something I've been thinking about for the graphic design since the very beginning, is making sure that our graphic design doesn't require you to, like, if you're a dog and you see in black and white, you'll be able to distinguish certain things from other certain things. A true colorblind mode would involve actually altering the colors themselves.
Right.
And it's something that I would like to do if we can get there. You know, the game, again, it all boils down to money and popularity, and you know, how what's the cost benefit of doing that? You know, do we have a number of colorblind players that we're losing out on a certain market for that? So yes, but even if we aren't able to do a true colorblind mode, my goal with all of the graphic design, all of the iconography, and all of the HUD information, you should be able to recognize even if you can't get the colors quite right. or even if you're not
Right.
seeing the
It's
colors
more
in
than
the
just
exact
colors.
colors.
It's shapes and stuff like that.
Right.
Good, okay, that answers that. Any thoughts on 21:9 or triple screen monitoring? I myself often play on triple screen monitor.
Absolutely, and we're definitely going to be giving you a field of view adjuster in the video settings,
Right.
so that will
Important.
work for you. But yes, yeah, we haven't gotten there yet, but that's definitely something I'd like to be able to offer.
All right. Next question boils down to how much money you guys get. How in depth will the video settings get?
I would say like video settings aren't that intensive on time and energy. So we're gonna have most of the obvious video settings that you would find in most other games are gonna be in there no matter what. Field of view is gonna be in there. You'll be able to change all of the basic graphic settings like the level of detail and the amount of effects that are going off and things like shadows and lights and all of that. So that's going to be essential even for the base game.
Curious question would be what resolution, if it comes to it, will you aim on the console version?
We'd definitely be aiming for 1080p, 1920 by 1080 on the console, but that's really a decision that we're gonna have to make once we get to the point where we're actually testing on the consoles and seeing where we can get our optimization to. But
right.
I mean, you can see, we're really not pushing bazillions of polygons, and our texture resolution really isn't too crazy, and it's easily degradable, especially with the Unity engine makes things so much easier to deal with there. So my goal would be 60 frames a second with at 1080p on the consoles.
Just
a option often, yeah.
In this arena, make sure to fly through the buildings. I think every building has holes in it.
Yeah, there's entrances and exits all over the place on a lot of these buildings. You'll also notice, I was talking earlier about video settings. This arena actually has a lot more intensive effects turned on, like fog and the god
lens flare.
Yeah, there's lens flares. You'll actually see the shadowing god rays sort of peeking through the support structures and stuff. You're looking towards one of the suns. Those are all actually pretty intensive. So those are going to be the things that you'll be able to turn off if your machine isn't quite up to snuff.
Because a solution I don't see very often on consoles, but I think would be easy to do, is have a good graphic settings for 30 FPS and a lower graphic settings for 60 FPS.
Yeah,
not many games do that, but let's face it, consoles are PCs at the moment.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, and it makes me wonder why games don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are technical and monetary limitations in a lot of cases, but that's a really cool idea. I like that a lot.
I'm wondering because, let's face it, it's an x86 processor, it's AMD, it's a PC.
Right. Yeah, and because you're developing the game for PC first and foremost, you're going to have those settings anyway. It's like,
right,
you either keep them or you turn them off for the console version, so why not keep them?
And even then, with the console version, like with X1, you're running pretty much the exact same platform you were running for PC. There's not an entirely huge difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When it comes to it, I just want to ask it, because I often see people say, oh, 30 frames per second is enough, but 60 is 60. So, yeah.
Ow.
Yeah, as good as we can get.
Okay, next question, sound. Same question, how in-depth will the sound settings be? Sliders for master, sound effects, music, hit markers, special effects, emotes, NPC player emotes, maybe?
To be honest, I hadn't thought about dividing the sound effects volume up that far. I don't see that in very many other games, and so it wasn't really something I was thinking about, but Just the other day, as I was trying to set up my my speakers here in my new office in my apartment here, I was testing it with Fallout 4, and I noticed that their sound effects volume settings are divided up between a ton of different things. Even like the footsteps, you can change just the footstep. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That's really going to have to come from testing and seeing what people find annoying. Like, for example, the incoming missile warning or the low shields warning. Maybe those are really annoying sound effects and you want to turn them way down. Those are the sorts of things that I think we're going to find in testing. It's relatively easy to separate them out in Unity as a separate sort of sound layer that can be whose volume can be controlled separately. So that's probably something we'll decide sort of more towards the end of development, but it's definitely something that we can do.
All right. Will there be voice over IP?
Built into the game, I'm not sure. We currently don't have plans to do that. We would have to probably come up with some sort of third-party solution for that. Trouble is, voice over IP uses up a certain amount of bandwidth, and I don't know if we want to make ourselves responsible for it, especially considering there's so many other third-party solutions like Skype or TeamSpeak and things like that. On the other hand, we do have the ability to take an incoming voice stream from the microphone, run it through a filter, and make it sound like a radio coming over from another pilot, which is a really interesting idea. So it's something that we've thought about, but it is not something that we are currently budgeted for. So again, it's one of those things that
Team GX2 already says voice over IP is part of Steam, so the Steam users will be able to use it actually.
Yeah, okay. So that if it's built into Steam, then maybe that's something that can be used.
Maybe it's when I use it, I prefer like when I play with my brothers, I use Skype.
Yeah, Steam's voice over IP is pretty booty.
It's right. It works, but it has to be like the clouds have to be right, and like Mars has to be in this certain position in the sky. And then on that day it works well.
Right.
Because the reason I'm asking is you're having team modes, because Bury the Ace will be Hunt the King.
Yep.
And having voice chat is so important for the key of survival of the king. It would make things so much easier if there would be voice over IP.
Definitely, and that's probably something we will discover as we start testing that game mode and realizing how important it is. One of the things that I wanted to test out with the team, actually, because every Wednesday we have a team meeting where we usually play the latest build to test it out. And I don't think we've ever played the game, just in a multiplayer deathmatch situation, where everybody wasn't on Skype. We've always played it where everybody's on Skype. And I've always wanted to play it where nobody's on Skype and see how that changes the game. So it could
changes it significantly in team modes.
Yeah, absolutely. When you need to have that cooperative communication, it can be crucial. So, we may discover that we absolutely have to have a VoIP solution, and if we do, we're definitely going to do everything we can to implement it.
Because I find writing and gaming kind of annoying.
Yeah.
If we don't have a lot of buttons on the Xbox controller, so we have to use them well, but there are ways to quickly communicate what you are doing or what you want to be done with a few simple commands.
Yeah, one of the things that we're, and maybe this is what you're getting at, Grumpy. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I think that we would have like attack this target or something like that for NPC players.
Right.
If that can be like a general thing, like I'm going against this target. So you have like, let's say you have a turret locked on. There's a capital ship you want to destroy, and you've locked onto one of its main guns or something like that, and you click a button. Then it informs the other people on your team that you're going after that thing, or that you want it destroyed, or you click another button like the D-pad or something saying that you need help. Somebody should fly close to you.
Yeah, one of the
chat menu.
one of the things in games like this, especially the old Wing Commander games, actually, was often you would hear the other pilots with the character voice coming through saying, "Get this guy off me," but there was nothing you could ever do, because there was nothing you could do about that, because you didn't know who was actually talking, much less where they were or who was attacking them. So one of the things that we really would like to implement in this game is fully voiced pilots that you can choose their voice. So we actually have already recorded voice from one of our voice actresses who's Australian, so she's got an Australian accent. It's kind of cool. We have another male voice actor on the team who's doing another character voice and voicing lines. And the way that we're going to do communication in the game, both for communicating with your AI wingmen as well as other players, is, in addition to choosing your call sign, you'll also choose a character voice that your voice will be, and you'll be able to issue context-sensitive commands to your teammates that way, because it provides an extra level of interaction above and beyond just your voice. It will actually provide the other players a context-sensitive call-out that says, when I say "get this guy off me," it's going to give all of my teammates the ability to hit, say, the Y button on their controller and automatically target the guy who's on my tail. And it gives them something that they can actually do. They can actually respond to my request for help, or respond for my request to attack a certain person or defend a certain point, or do any number of things. And that not only will work for the AI friendlies, but it'll also give human players a context-sensitive way to actually react to your communications.
That's all I could ask for. All right. Game design. Kickstarter says 4 game modes. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. There are, the classic deathmatch mode, which is blow up all the things. It's every man for himself. That's pretty standard. There's going to be a team mode. There's actually going to be a number of team modes. A regular team mode would be, everybody is on various teams, up to 4 teams or 5 teams, something like that. And you'll be able to fly any starfighter within your own team. There will also be a faction-based deathmatch where you pick a faction, and you can only use fighters from that faction for your team. And there will be other benefits to doing that, where everybody's sort of flying the same faction. You'll all sort of be fitting into all the correct roles and stuff, and you'll get certain bonuses for that. So we're also going to have a capture the flight pod mode, which is capture the flag. We have actually tested a couple of different ways of doing that, where you get X number of points over time for holding the flag. There's actually no place that you have to deliver it to, but if you're holding on to it for a certain amount of time before someone kills you and steals it from you, that time counts towards points for your team, and then the game is over once one team or one player gets enough points by holding the flag for a certain amount of time. We've also done more traditional, where you have to pick up the flag and deliver it to a location. We're also planning on another mode where you that's a little bit more sort of inside the lore of the game, where your mission is to go in and pick up as many ejected flight pods of other pilots as you can and deliver them back to the base. So as people start dying, they will leave behind a little pod that you have to then go collect and take back to your base, and then whoever collects the most number of them wins the game, and that sort of thing. So there's actually a number of sort of sub-versions of all of these game modes that we have planned. And then, of course, Bury the Ace, which is more of a regicide or Fox and Hound sort of kill the king type of game, where one person is sort of way overpowered and the rest of everybody else is weaker, but they're all fighting towards one dude.
So Bury the Ace isn't team-based?
There's actually... We'll have sort of a more traditional Bury the Ace or regicide mode, where each team has their own king and you have to protect him. But we
Yes.
also have a non-team based or even team based. They can be either, where one person is way overpowered and everybody else is against them.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of a juggernaut mode.
All right. What's next? 16 players per mode. Personally, I find 16 players, 8 versus 8 in a team-based match, let's say Hunter King, is a little too much. Will there be the option to turn it down?
Absolutely. Yep. There currently is the option in the game. The host can choose how many players can join that match. When we have team mode, you'll be able to set the number of players per team as a maximum. And so and certain arenas will actually be designed for more or fewer players, depending on the size of the teams and the number of players in the match.
Good. All right, we're getting to the end. Lore and ships. The Kickstarter states 25 plus flyable ships with hardpoint customization.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So we have 5 different factions. We have 4 starfighters from each of those factions designed to fulfill certain roles for those factions. And then we have a number of mercenary starfighters, and the mercenary starfighters are where things get real weird. So the mainline starfighters, the 4 from the 5 main factions, are going to be pretty standard. They're going to have all of their statistics are going to and flight characteristics are going to be closer to the average than the mercenaries are, and the mercenaries are going to be the wild ship. So one of those mercenary fighters that we currently have is the Hell Folly, and it's wild in the fact that it doesn't have any shields and can die with just a couple of shots. But it's pretty maxed out on all of the other stats, so it's a killing machine. It just can't survive for very long. So you're going to have there's another mercenary ship that is the fastest ship in the game, but it's got pea shooters for guns. There's another ship that's this big behemoth called the Grimlock, and it looks like a flying 6-shooter, or it used to actually. I think it got redesigned a little bit.
It looks more like kinda like the A10 Warthog-ish.
Yeah.
Does it turn into a dinosaur though?
It doesn't, unfortunately, turn into a dinosaur like the Transformer.
I'm disappointed now.
I know. I'm sorry. We're sorry.
Quit the game.
Drew did say that if we got enough money, he can turn these things into robots.
Yeah.
He's completely fine with that.
I'm in. Robotech will be reborn.
Exactly.
But the Grimlock has the most powerful guns in the entire game. It can pretty much one-shot anything, but it flies like a shopping cart. So
you've flown a shopping cart. That's
I have.
interesting.
It's.
We actually went to Walmart and we picked out the worst shopping cart
Got
there.
the squeaky wheel and everything.
Yeah,
Green
and then
pink
we wrote down the statistics of that, and that's gonna be in game now.
I got in it, and then Drew pushed me off a freeway bridge. It was a lot of fun.
That sounds like Jackass.
Yeah, that's
So-
dedication to statistics. Ships.
So yeah, so that's sort of how the starfighters are going to shake out. We have over 32 starfighters designed for the game. They're not all created, and we don't know that we're going to be able to get every last one of them into the final version of the game. But we are guaranteeing at least 25 ships, probably more than that. So
We have 2 mercenary fighters right now. The other one is the Avenger, and that one is supposed to have better missiles than guns. So
yeah, it's got it can fire missiles out like bullets. It just sends them out like bananas.
Can you tell a little bit more about the hardpoint system?
Yeah, the hardpoint system actually takes there's sort of two key concepts there. Most of the hardpoints are going to be weapons, and every starfighter is going to have a certain number of hardpoint slots on it. And it will be different per starfighter, usually somewhere between 2 and 5 different hardpoint slots. And so you'll be able to mount all kinds of different special weapons on there, as well as other components that will boost the stats of your ship. So if you're flying a ship that's got really good guns and shields, but it's a little bit too slow for your tastes, you'll be able to mount an extra thruster on there by using up one of your hardpoint slots. You can make your ship a little bit faster. An alternative to that is don't mount the extra thruster on there, but put another big gun on there, and you'll have a little bit more killing power. There will also be a number of defensive weapons, like we had talked about mines before, where you can sort of poop these mines out the back of your ship. That can actually help kill other players. It will also distract missiles from flying up your rear end.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 different types of hardpoints basically. You have the passive hardpoints, which just sort of boost a specific stat of your ship, like shield generators or extra thrusters, maneuverability, that sort of thing. You will have defensive hardpoints to sort of prevent other players from killing you. And then the vast majority of them will actually be extra weapons that will deal death in a variety of different ways. We have a sniper cannon. We have another cluster missile pod that is actually capable of targeting multiple players at once. And then we have the area nuke, which does area of effect damage in a large ball of death.
Carrion gun, which is like a shotgun. You have the fell beam laser.
Yeah.
Tyrant cannon, which is like a heavy cannon.
Following question would be, will we get ship slots so we can have pre-assembled customization ships?
I love that idea. Being able to sort of predefine a loadout for a specific starfighter, and then you can just quick select it. Yeah,
jump in and out.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Alright.
basically we will give some options, at least one option that's like our idea of how it functions in the lore of the game, and then you will have other options that you can build yourself. So you don't have to figure it out on your own. You can kind of see what we thought with it.
Right, and that's a way
All about
to prevent you from feeling overwhelmed by too much choice. We've already had players complain that in this demo, of which there are only 12 starfighters, that they sort of feel overwhelmed by the amount of choice that they have. The game, in its final version, when you first get the game, you'll probably only be able to choose from a couple of different starfighters, maybe one from each faction or something like that. And then as you perform certain achievements in the game, like get a post-mortem kill somebody with a missile after you've already died, that will unlock a new starfighter for you. You'll be able to unlock new starfighters and new weapons and stuff, and that'll sort of introduce the player to them over time so that you don't get overwhelmed by the amount of choice right at the beginning.
Also, it's a form of progression.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's a form of progression and a way to, to collect new goodies.
Okay, next question is a tricky one. The law states that the game is controlled by a free market, 4 to 5 leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So will there be a in-game currency specified to the game? And if yes, I will have a question after that.
I'll make it easy. There is no in-game currency.
All right.
There's that is all sort of part of the lore, and it's sort of our thinly veiled excuse for you to kill everyone that you see. It's these are corporations that are sort of fighting for control, and that just gives us a narrative to explain why you're fighting against all of these other different varied factions.
I will give you my idea anyway.
Please do.
Because I thought of, well, there is an in-game currency. You earn it by playing the game. And with that currency, you can build your own ship from scrap. Hull thickness, body, wings, attachments, thrusters, shields. And using that money, you can make your really own ship.
That's a really cool idea. I think it would fundamentally alter the way that this game works. But it's a really cool idea, and I like it a lot. I would love to be able to give that ability to modders to be able to make certain game modes like that, where you can build your own ship from scratch.
Kind of like choose a faction and stay with them, but you get to build your own ship.
Right. Yeah. That's a really cool idea.
All right.
That could be in our whenever we get enough funding to make our GTA in space
Right.
game.
Exactly.
This is just the stepping stone.
So Saint
Can
I
I
have the
punch you in the
final-
face?
I have kind of the final scene from that one already half written out.
Yeah.
So come back in like 20, 30 years. When we're like,
At the
you
current
remember?
pace of development, let's hope
Yeah.
that it doesn't take that long.
If I'm not dead by then, please feel free to ask me.
Keith Richards is going to be in it, right?
turns out Bruce Willis the whole time.
Was it Mark Hamill? It's gonna.
Mark Hamill and Keith Richards need to be in it.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm basically finished with my questions, but you guys saw my notes, and I got 2 game modes. I maybe want to pitch you guys.
Yeah, please do.
I'm gonna die. Let's talk about the first game mode. Where is it? I got it on my handy dandy note. One game mode I pitched to Star Citizen. I haven't gotten an answer back, but this is a game mode that is really close to my heart. Shooting is always nice in space, but rarely a space game just depends on the piloting skill and your ship. So the game mode I want to pitch you guys is called Parkour Flight.
Oh my god, I love it already.
The name explains itself, kind of. The notes I have is pure piloting skill and ship control. No guns. As fast as possible from start to finish. Very, very narrow corridors. Not bigger than 2 times your ship. Some 90 to 150 degree turns. So you have to really get to a stop and change direction and stuff. Multiple doors. All of them are closed, and one opens when you get very, very close. So you have to decide very, very fast. Pillars to dodge, maybe lava pillars, pools of lava you have to dodge.
Nice.
You could play this as a solo or a 1v1 mode. So you could maybe ram your opponent and make him die. The hardcore mode would say, well, if you die, you have to restart from the beginning.
Nice.
There would be a leaderboard. Of course, a leaderboard just, oh man, he's 1 second faster than me. I'm gonna cut this man.
You know, I'm really glad you brought this type of game mode up, because there is actually a mechanic in our game that would be really conducive to this. And that is the fact that when we're talking about assisted kills, when you're chasing somebody and you've got them targeted, if they manage to outfly you and you stupicide while targeting them, they get the kill. That counts as a kill for them, because they outflew you and caused you to fly into an asteroid or something. And I would love to see a game mode like parkour mode, where the whole point of it is to outfly everybody else. The only way that you can get kills is to maybe say lead somebody into a trap and get them killed by the environment somehow.
Right.
Follow the leader?
Has the whole. We got positive feedback with Capture the Flag, because some people, the comment was that they like flying also, not just fighting, but just
that's
flying.
why I'm doing that.
Right. So Capture the Flag would be like, if you have the flag, you have to stay alive. So you have to fly through our arena geometry as good as you can, dodging bullets that other people are trying to hit you with. So there is that one. There's also, if we can make the arenas or the arena geometry, what you call it, we were talking about it before, where we the hell, I'm dropping words now, generate randomized arena geometry.
Right.
You could somehow make it so that you fake it like they have some train levels or those types of things where you the arena is actually moving, so you are flying through an asteroid field.
It's actually drifting along, or
that's drifting
rotating.
along. Yeah, ours is a fixed arena. But if the asteroids are constantly flying at you,
Yeah.
and you have to get to the end of this randomly generate ever so often a randomly generated asteroid spawns and flies towards you, and you have to like fly through it and survive.
Right.
You could make that kind of parkour thing where you don't know what's coming up, but you and X amount of other players have to make it to the end, and it's like a racing game.
Yeah, I love it.
So
I love the idea of this parkour mode where it's just all flight and nobody's allowed to use guns, but you have to just outfly everybody. The only thing that I'd be concerned about is the fact that you'd have to build specialized arenas. But I like what Grumpy was saying about having sort of procedurally generated arenas that sort of build themselves around the idea of having to dodge things.
Yeah, because then you just code it so that it's a lot narrower,
right?
So that it's actually more of a challenge to fly through them because you're not getting shot.
Definitely.
Well, you mentioned earlier that flying close to terrain will help you evade lock-on. I mean, that by itself can put a lot of skill, like a lot of necessity in having skilled flight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want to encourage, as much as we can within regular gameplay, encourage people to do those really cool astrobatic maneuvers, flying along the hulls of things, trying to find their way through the superstructure of some of these large arena assets, and just, I want to encourage that behavior and reward it with in-game benefits.
What I also thought about is what I pitched already was set maps. They don't change. Yeah, so you have a very steady leaderboard.
Sure.
But also there would be a random mode. Let an algorithm design the level, but have a seed so people can enter that seed and fly the exact same level again.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what our procedural arena system is going to be,
right.
Provided we can get that stretch goal. I think that's our second stretch goal currently on the Kickstarter.
That's also very good in the way that a computer or a completely random algorithm will never generate a map that is. You can't guarantee that the map is very good. But
right.
If you have an algorithm that generates a random map, and then you have a human being that selects that map, or certain maps to be very good, over time you will build up a seed database of very good maps that you could the community could make missions out of them. So first go to this one, then go to that one, then get to that one, and then you build your storyline with those random seeds, or they can become official maps if they're that good. But you have this seed that you can refer to, and other people can jump into. That means that when you find something that's really good, you can share it with everybody.
I would just
be very, very powerful because it's a human being who's analyzing these things.
I would just like to point out that I just had my ass handed to me by an abandoned box of kittens.
Oh, jeez.
That's a great username.
It's yeah. I don't know
Where's
how
Hellboy when you
child-friendly
need
these streams are, but we did have a bag of vasectomies flying around here some time ago.
Yeah, good. But I also got another mode for you guys, if you want to hear it.
Please, go for it.
This mode requires the ship to come to a complete stop. That being said, I call it the Space Mug the Depot.
The Space what depot?
Space Mug the Depot.
Okay.
Basically, Space Deal the Depot. It's 3 versus 3 or 4 versus 4. Mm-hmm. Every team has a fuel depot where 50% fuel is filled, and the goal is to steal that fuel from the other team and to get it back to your own fuel to get 100%.
Okay.
The max game time is 10 to 15 minutes. To steal, you have to stay close to the enemy depot. After 2 to 3 seconds, fuel steal will start at a ratio of 1% for 1 second. You can only hold 15% of fuel at max at a time, and you have to get it back to your depot. If killed, the full amount could be picked up instantly by the enemy or by your own team.
Okay.
And the return rate would be the same as the steal rate, but at the double speed, 2% for 1 second. And the respawn timer would be about 10 to 15 seconds. The idea comes from Tribe's Vengeance. There is kind of this style already.
I love that idea because it plays. It's basically a capture the flag mode, but it's sort of got a different sort of.
It has the
lore
danger to
spin
stay
to
in one place.
Exactly.
You don't really need to stand still in it. You could actually make it so that you have to go.
Slight
there are
movement.
there are 3 checkpoints, and you have to fly through 2 of those checkpoints to do it, or something like that. at
Or
your
something
home
like
base.
that, right.
So you make it so that you don't just fly through, but you have to align yourself in a certain way, or you fly like 2 circles on slow speed around it, and then
You could already use your maps you already have, which would be nice.
Yep.
And it would really get a fox hunt kind of like Birdie Ace, but who attacks, who defends, who goes on the hunt,
Right.
all that stuff. And I find that very, very appealing.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's
Those
that's
are
that's
my game modes.
I like that's a game mode that even fits within the context of the story too.
Yeah, I was
Fighting-
thinking
make
the same
it like
thing.
power
Fighting
powers
over-
Campaign.
or data or something like that.
Totally. Fighting over fuel is a genius idea. Love it. Well,
And with that, I'm finished.
awesome. I've actually gone 50 minutes over my must stop time. So, so I'm late getting out the door. But guys, it was a huge pleasure playing with you today. I hope you had fun. I hope you liked the game.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to do it again with you guys whenever you're able.
If you got another build in a few months, I would be happy to try it.
Absolutely.
If you still want me. That was actually my first interview ever with a developer.
Excellent. That I couldn't tell actually. That was an excellent interview.
And
A good
yeah,
question.
probably I will give you the last words. Tell us where to find you guys and go.
May I ask, because my last name is actually German. My last name is Burr. I think it was originally pronounced Boer back when my great grandfather was German, and so I don't often get the opportunity to speak to someone who speaks German,
Right.
but I only know one phrase in German. I actually know 2 phrases in German. One of them is "Ich bin der Kuchen," which I think means "I am the pastry."
No.
No,
That's not what it means.
no,
I probably have a terrible accent too.
no,
You
it's
you
okay.
want to say the word Kuchen.
Kuchen. Okay.
Kuchen. Kuchen.
Kuchen. Okay.
Kuchen. Kuchen is cake.
Okay.
Kuchen is
So
cake.
I am the cake.
Yes.
The other one is Deine Mutter ist eine weibliche Frau. Does that mean your mother is a morally loose woman?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
if I ever came to Germany, I would at least know how to say those 2 things.
No, that's very important to know.
Because that will
Don't
get you
say
through
it.
customs.
Please.
Figure that will at least, those are the basics.
Ich
Well,
sprechen
if
Sie
you
kleine
want to
Deutsch.
get marked, that's a pretty good idea.
That is
So,
definitely
yeah.
the way to do it.
Yeah,
Ich sprechen Sie kleine Deutsch. A little bit.
that's okay, yeah.
You know.
If you want to be perfect, it's Ich spreche kein Deutsch.
Ich spreche kein Deutsch.
It needs
Genau.
I need more phlegm, apparently.
No. Last questions. Favorite food.
Favorite food? Oh man.
Schnitzel.
I think I'm gonna
Sushi.
definitely just say sandwiches. That's a pretty broad thing.
all of the sandwiches.
boring.
Blue samurai sushi.
I'm a.
Get
Oh yeah, Blue Samurai sushi. Oh man, sushi is so freaking good there.
And with that, I will end the recording. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
You.
We'll talk to you guys real soon.
That was actually very, very fun. I would love to check it out. Maybe you got a good idea or not from me.
Yeah, absolutely.